Welcome to the Home Vision work session. This is where we're going to basically take everything that you're needing to create in the season of your life to basically inspire you and to help remind you to keep the important things first. This is where we're going to curate your home to really match your life vision and to support that. Later on, we're going to dig into all the nitty-gritty of efficiencies and tools and functions and systems, but this is about setting your place up the way that makes you feel and just come alive in it and live into that vision and purpose that you hold. And the reason why this is so incredibly important to set up your living environment to support your goals and your vision is because our environments, we as humans, we begin to take on our environments. So the message that we plant within our environment, that becomes the message that we then listen and hear and regurgitate into our life. So our environments can be used as great tools to support and impact the decisions we make in our day-to-day living. And so how great a tool is it if we could set up our homes so that our homes become tools to remind us to do what we want to do, make the choices that we want to make for our life. And they are more than just spaces we go to rest or get away from the world. The second point I want to make is I know I've heard this before that, you shouldn't spend too much time on your home. Like your home is just there so you can live your life and go about your day. And for one, I disagree with that because of the whole environment and how that affects people mentally, emotionally, and their decisions. So we have that side of the science and facts. But for two, I think about Jesus. And Jesus has gone to go and prepare a place for us. Jesus is in the business of homemaking. And I think about how beautiful that when God created us, He gave us a garden. That was the first thing. But now that He's making all things new again and He's making them better, He's giving us a home. I believe the task and the gift and the privilege of taking care of our homes and setting them up and preparing our place is a God-given calling that we possess, and it's just so sacred. I don't want to lose sight of that. And I don't want to make little of what He's doing for us and saying that basically it's a waste to spend my time doing the same in reflection of His nature and what He's doing and has already done. So, all that to say, I believe home is such a sacred space, such a sacred calling to prepare a place for us to not just lay our heads down and sleep and do the human survival mode of things, but a place to really thrive and grow and live into everything and every part of what the Lord has created us to be in this lifetime. And as a reflection of His nature and His good works. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this home session. It means a lot to me. It's something that is so close to my heart. And I hope that if you've heard a different message that says to belittle or think not or spend not much time on your home environment, that at least that this session will maybe give you some inspiration, some encouragement, and maybe some truth to this sacred place that your home is. And it's okay to set it up and spend some time setting it up so that's serving you and your family, and you're living bigger and greater lives for the Lord through having a home that really helps you to live into that purpose. Okay, so first, let's talk about what culture has taught us about our homes, because this influences our thinking on them. And I think it also possibly is what has rooted the Christian kind of knee-jerk reaction to homes being, that you shouldn't spend time or money or, too much thought in it. It's, extravagance. I think it maybe stems from some of how our culture approaches homes. So let's just spend some time understanding both on this. So our culture approaches homes very much from the aspect of homes are places to fill with beautiful things and to style and to decorate. And it's a space in which you should portray how you want to look to others, whether that's status, how much money you're making, a projection of your own identity and personality. And it's something that you should use as a very key accessory to your life as you introduce yourself to others and invite people into your home and all of that. Culture says it's about the stuff that you do to your home and put in your home. And I believe that culture just has it backwards, because not that that's wrong, and you're going to find that style and decorating, it does help to add that inspiration to your home, and that's a wonderful thing to utilize. But when you make that the sole purpose and calling of your home, it's just to impress others, you miss the real heart and depth, and you cheapen the home, in my opinion, because it's so much more than that. I want you to look at this picture, and what do you see? Because to me, this is what home is really about. It's the life that gets lived there. It's the life that takes place between the walls and outside the doors. It's meaningful connections. It's the relationships and the joy and presence that we live our life with. It's the way your family feels there. It's what you do there, and everything that you do that moves you towards the person you're supposed to become and be on this earth. And it's the person you become tomorrow, and the person you'll be in 10 years, and the person that you'll be in 50 years, and everybody in between who comes through those doors and who lives and does life with you. That, to me, that's what home is really about. It's the fullness of life and the support that it provides us to live freely and to love generously. That's what home is about. It's about living between the dates of your birth, when you entered this world, this earth, and to the date that you pass from this earth. That's what your home is there for. It's to support all the living in between. What you'll never hear me say in this course or any of my home stuff is that you should serve your homes more. Culture definitely teaches this in how we should work hard in the home and work hard for a home and do more work in order to buy more for our homes, in order to have more in our homes, in order to have a nice home. And it's this cycle that we are led to believe that we need, and it's doing us no good. That's something that I go counter against. The cycle basically becomes a burden for others to have to keep their homes, and that's not using your home as a tool. Home should be this amazing tool set that we have and the privilege to use it, and not a burden that we have to upkeep. So in our reset program, I will definitely show you ways to actually cut down on a lot of the cleaning and home upkeep to a really bare minimal of usually an average of under 30 minutes a day. So that's going to be taught in the reset program, but this session right now is more about creating your vision and going from there, because you've got to know what the vision is first, so you can start setting your places and your spaces up in your home to serve that greater vision. The Proverbs that talks about, a people without a vision perish. Well, we want to have a vision before we just go on with our plans. Vision gives us insight and helps us to prepare in a way that is specific to what our needs are. Okay, since we're talking about vision here, I want to just mention keeping the goal line in view and the target that you're going for. And of course, there's going to be some varying things on our vision board because we're individuals and have different needs and different callings in our life. So, but for me, and I think for a lot of people who are interested in doing this work, you have to ask yourself, is the goal to have beautiful homes or beautiful lives? Because when you have to pick and choose, or when you have to prioritize which one comes first, you want to know where you're going to land before you flip that coin. And this is just going to give you clarity as you're going about the process of doing this. One example I'll just give you here is I was reading a home makeover book type thing, and the author of it was talking about how she and her husband agreed basically that he would take on an extra shift. So he was working full time, and then he did an evening job and a weekend job. So he's basically working around the clock. And they were just remodeling their house, and it ended up they weren't even able to live in the house very long before they had to sell it. And it was a loss all the way around for them. But for me, when I read that, I was so sad, because I felt like she lost on day one. When you trade in time on your greatest priority, your greatest relationships, when you trade in time and you take out of that bucket or that savings bank account, whatever you want to call it or have a picture of, but when you take from there to give to another area that is secondary to that, or maybe even further down the line than that, I feel like you're in a losing situation. I definitely encourage, as you do this process, there are going to be lots of things that you're going to want to do right away, but just picking one small area to move forward with, to setting up the way you want to have it so that it inspires you to create beauty one small step at a time, and working with what you already have and going from there, versus working really hard to get where you want to be and sacrificing possibly just your greater, more meaningful things in life that are more worth your while and time, honestly. So just keep that in mind, the goal line, if it's for a beautiful home or a beautiful life. And for me, it's hands down a beautiful life. Circling back around here a little bit, but spending more money and effort and time on our homes doesn't automatically equal fulfillment. And this is where, even if you have all the systems to keep your home functional, you can still lack that inspiration to really live into your life and feeling of purpose and waking up with just so much gratitude for being there and all of that. You can still lack that even if you have all the efficiency systems in your house in play, and you don't have to worry about having things clean or laundry ever again. And so this next part of the session, we're about to do some homework on this process, because this is really the heart of the home, and the other stuff is just the functions of the home to keep it at a non-distraction basically pace. Because I feel like, especially as mothers, we have kids that we're taking care of, and then when we are trying to do all the home functions and take care of that, home can become a distraction from doing the more meaningful things in life and doing the better things and making the better choices. So fulfillment, though, that comes from really putting some time and getting clarity and a vision for what your life should be headed towards and what is important to you and who has God created you to be. And this is going to be a little bit different for everybody because we're all different. So back to when really this process of creating a vision started for me, I was struggling to just feel purpose, I guess, in my life and meaning, and then just to wake up excited. Like I really would wake up more dreading the day, or even just that feeling like, man, I need a vacation. Like, I just need a happy place to go to type thing, and feel rejuvenated and rested and just calm in my mind and spirit. And the change really started taking place when I asked myself one very important question. And that question was, but what if the story changed? What if home became no longer an expense, but rather a investment? What if home became an oasis, that escape and that vacation I was longing to be on, and that place of inspiration that I went to and loved being in because I always felt inspired and energized by being there? What if home was no longer the place that drained me of my energy, where I felt alone, and where I simply just did not like being there? And what if my home became a home that served and supported my biggest dreams and goals instead of me constantly serving it? And what if my home became a place that reminded me to live more into the joy and the moments and into my life, quite frankly, and to stop missing the opportunities that were coming up and walking by me that I was often too busy to see? What if home became a place for all of us to run our race for Christ better? So I set out to create something bigger than a beautiful home. My purpose was to create a meaningful and purpose-filled home, one that supported me living the life I was designed to live. And so keep that picture in mind. When you're doing this work, you're about creating something bigger than a beautiful home yourself. And you're about to fill it with so much meaning and so much purpose and support for your goals and where you want to be and who you want to be and the life that you want to lead. So grab that pen and paper, or if you've downloaded the workbook to go with this, you can fill it in digitally, however you want to work. And grab that recipe for the healthy coffee mocha and go ahead and fix you up a cup, because you should always do things with more joy and more coffee, in my opinion. So grab that recipe, whip that up real quick for yourself as you go through the guide here, just to help you connect with what really inspires you and what your goals and visions are for your life. Okay, now that you have your coffee and your pen and paper, we are going to work on creating your roadmap for your own home inspiration vision board curated for you in your season. This is the really good stuff, y'all. Let's get started. Q1. What excites and energizes me? This could be a hobby you love, an environment you love being in. It can be doing something like exercise, running, soulful yoga sessions, and things because you just literally feel the energy flowing through your body, and that excites you and energizes you. Maybe it's how you feel when you're plugged into a group community, and it's really actually more people and not a thing or place that you love and that excites you. It could be a coffee shop, a favorite store, boutique, trips, foods. It's all good to know, so just brain dump it down. Q2. What am I craving more of? And not so much the food kind of thing. It's more the soul and life kind of thing. So, for example, rest, friendships, connection, date nights, reading to my kids, maybe it's pillow fights, coffee dates, baths, horseback riding, hikes, just whatever comes up to the surface that you are just craving more of to create in your life, write that down. Q3, how do I want to feel at my best? So just write down any words that come to mind that on your best day, who you are, what you're doing, and how you feel. You want all those words on paper now. It may be that you feel excited or rested or joyful or present. It could be that you are strong and you feel beautiful and you take time to give your body really nutritious food to fuel it, and you have more energy. And it could be that you do things that you love doing. Whatever comes to mind, write it down. Q4. Who do I want to do more life with? So these are people that you want to intentionally grow closer to through friendship and time. So, for example, it could be your spouse, your kids, a best friend, an extended family, parent, like it could be anybody on the block. But it's someone that you really do want to grow closer to and put intentional time into that relationship. You may also have a list here of who do you not want to spend time with? Who are maybe just draining you energetically, taking up too much of your time with maybe their problems or different things that come up. I know we're all familiar with that issue, and you may even have to just decide to put some safe guardrails up on your boundaries for time with those people so that you can guard it for spending your time with the people who do make your list of who you want to do more life with. Because if you don't do that, what will end up happening is the people that always will take your time and just keep taking it until there's no more time will get all your time, and the people who really need it or you wanted to give your time to will only get like the scraps and the leftovers of it. Q5, what do you want to be free of? So this could be anything that feels heavy, weighs you down just mentally even thinking about it. It could be a bad habit that you want to shake. It could be maybe something that happened in your past that has kept you a prisoner of war and a convict of shame. Maybe it's just small things like the clutter in your house or negative thought cycles that you keep struggling with. And maybe it's debt or health problems or limitations. Maybe it's just over your words and speaking more truth over regurgitating maybe negative lies that you've heard. Things like that. It can really be anything that if you were to wake up tomorrow and you didn't have it, if it no longer existed in your life, that you would feel so much lighter, so much freer, so much more able to be, love, and live. Those are the things that you want to write down here. And it could be even just simple things like you want to be free of busy schedules or pace. It can be anything to really heavy to small, heavy, just wearing you down and chaining you up kind of feelings inside. Q6, what are some things you want to do in the next 5 years? You can even take the list that you've made so far and even cheat a little bit and take anything that might be on your list or that sparks a clear vision from the list that you've made on the other questions and get kind of a game plan for that. But just if there weren't limitations, what do you want to do in the next 5 years? What do you want your life to be like in the next 5 years? And go ahead and write that down. Be as specific as you can. The clearer the vision, the better the getting to the target is. Okay, so this next part is really fun. This is where you're going to hop on Pinterest and basically you're going to collect pictures that inspire you for living this way, living into some of the answers you've already written down from the questions, and to do the things to connect with the people and be the person you want to be. And anything that brings up the feelings that you wrote down, like the words that you wrote down that you want to feel like, pictures that spark that, you want to pin these to your board. And you can just call it your home vision board. So try to pick pictures that encapsulate the whole experience and the way that you want to feel. So for example, if you really want to learn tennis this year, instead of just putting a tennis racket or tennis ball on your Pinterest board, maybe encapsulate what that feels like to you. Is it that you're wanting to dedicate some evening time to tennis with your spouse, and maybe the sun's going down in the background and it's having that sunshine on your skin, and that just being outdoors in the spring? Maybe it's the connection also that you're playing that game and that sport with someone you care about. Try to pick pictures that kind of grab that whole vision for you and encapsulate it for you, instead of just generic, hey, here's a tennis ball and a tennis racket for you. And try to make sure within your Pinterest boarding that you also scroll through home pictures and maybe even search different types and styles of homes and pin some of those that really do spark all of this, that when you see it, you're like, oh yes, this has the feels that I want, or this really inspires me to take action in this area of my life. You'll notice after a while that you get drawn to some similar ones. So when I did this exercise, what I found out was my home style that I had, and which, by the way, I still think is beautiful and love, but this style did not inspire me. There is nothing about those pins that made me feel the way I wanted to feel every day, that brought those feelings up of just peace and carefree and joy. And the things that I was going for, they didn't necessarily make me feel that way. And there was nothing in it that inspired me to take action on the things I wanted to take action on in my life. And so for me, it was kind of an eye-opening moment to realize, wow, you can't just decorate your home with things that you believe are beautiful, because they can be beautiful but lack inspiration. And that was, for me, was just like the missing key, is finding where my inspiration, what inspires me, and how to bring that about into my home space so that I was living inspired there and I was encouraged to take action on the things that I wanted to do in my life. So I did have to change up my style and the way I was decorating my home. And a lot of that, you can easily do by just tweaking some things, how things are placed within your home, maybe painting it or just repurposing it to look different. So they're just little minor tweaks. So don't be discouraged if you're getting through the end of this exercise part and you're just like, wow, my home decorating style that I have been using hasn't been bringing anything about what I want to fill my days and live inspired to do and to take action on. It doesn't invoke any of that into my life. That's okay. It's direction, and having clarity on it is really good, and you can move forward from here and start creating your home space to have more of that for you. So it's really actually a good thing. Vision meets home when the home carries the vision inside it, when we feel inspired to live there. And I've heard this quote and I just like it. I think it's a very true quote. It says, the opposite of depression is not happiness, it's purpose. And I do think that, especially for moms, and not just moms, but depression continuing to rise in our culture, that some of depression is even just lacking purpose and bringing that into our everyday lives and into our home spaces. So just consider bringing purpose and living more purposefully. It's not just a small thing. It can really truly change the way you totally live and view life. And then start noticing from your Pinterest board, what colors, the fills, all of that, what things are you being drawn to that bring about that feeling of inspiration for your vision and remind you of the purpose, because those are the things that you want to start to write down and keep a clear picture of what you're going for, because you never want to lose track or sight of the fact that you have so much purpose in this life. And sometimes we just need to be reminded every day in our environment how much purpose there is to our lives and how wonderful it is that we get to live these lives out and with the people that we get to live with. Sorry, going back, I should have said this more clearly. All the colors and the things that keep coming up, the common threads throughout your Pinterest board, you want to keep that at the forefront of your mind when you're creating your home space, because those are the things you want to go back to and center kind of around in your themes for color and spaces and settings, and bring that into your home space so that you live in that purpose-inspired setting. Lastly, I want to leave you with this idea. In a world of picture-perfect homes, our story doesn't need to be told half so much as it needs to be lived. The idea is to focus on living a little bit more and a little less on the side of impressing others with our Instagram posts of our homes, of worrying about what our neighbor thinks when they enter our doors. It's more about living the life, loving the people, and doing the things that we were called to do, and knowing that we're living a very purposeful life, than it is about having a picture-perfect home or doing things perfectly within our home or even living perfectly. It's about being present and living. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because I know there's a lot of, we want to tell our stories and we want to post the pictures on Instagram, and that's actually really good. You can totally do that, but focus more on the living that needs to happen and less about getting that picture perfect for that post to tell that story. Live the life first and tell the story later.